Hi, Eurovision fans. Welcome back to our national final discussion series at that Eurovision site, bringing you Eurovision with a slice of life. My name is Tetiana, and today I am joined by a legendary person, Ben with ESC Inside. We covered the Moldovan Selecția Națională together, and today Ben gladly joined me for a discussion. Hi, Ben.
Hello there, Tetiana. Hello, everybody. Yes, thank you very much. Not quite legendary yet, let me say though.
It felt like that at the Chisinau Arena. I think you would agree with me if I say that we experienced a very, very good event which can compete with Eurovision itself. What were your impressions?
In terms of the scale of the production, this is Moldova's biggest ever production, not even Eurovision production, biggest ever television production in the country of Moldova. I think it's been a success. Yes, I can see technical small details that mean despite a fantastic looking stage, the production level is not quite the same as some of the big broadcasters in Europe, but it is good enough to give the winner a great platform to build on, to go to Europe, and it has mobilized a whole Moldovan population that used to be a little bit ashamed of their own contests. That is not the case, and it's engaged a whole new young demographic of Eurovision fan there in Moldova as well.
Yes, thank you for this commentary. When we were at the arena during the broadcast, during the main show, it felt like it was basically Satoshi's arena. So they came to celebrate him and his song, because winning by a landslide in such an event in Moldova, where the contest was canceled last year because of lack of interest, I assume, as well as the low quality of the songs, that felt incredibly festive and celebratory to me. Have you seen the rehearsals?
I saw some of the rehearsals on the Thursday and the Friday, yes.
I noticed that it was just like the Eurovision itself, because the participants were running through their performances one by one, and then when the set list ended, it happened again and again and again. So the artist went on stage probably 3 times each of the preparation days. And also we had a chance to witness the openers and interval acts performers. One of them being Jamala from Ukraine, the winner. Also, we saw Doredos, Sunstroke Project, Zdobszy Zdub, Nelly Ciobanu, Alona Moon, Natalia Barbu, and we also saw... Did I miss
Paula
anyone?
Selling and Effendi are probably the biggest names who were the other international acts that came.
Correct. Moldovan production really invested into this event by inviting so many Moldovan and foreign artists to participate and support that. Were there any performances you particularly liked and remembered?
Yes, there were some great performances. Probably the one of a performance point of view I'd want to name was the interval act in the middle of the show, like in between song 8 and 9 of the 16 competing acts from Paula Selling. Like, brought a band on stage as well. Really, like, you could feel the vibes. It wasn't just playing with Fire and Miracle. We got a whole plethora of different music from in there, and it really worked. And it was a really big party. It felt in many ways like it was more a concert than a Eurovision show, and you could see the local touch. Thank you very much to the broadcaster in Moldova. They provided both myself and yourself with tickets to go and watch a show live, and we were sitting quite far back. We could see the fan zone below us. We could see during Horror in Moldova, for example, hundreds of people dancing in circles, creating a horror in the fan zone. And it was one of those moments, like those little pinch me moments, when I have not seen anything like that within the Eurovision culture before. Not at a national final, not at the Moldovan national final. I was on the ground 11 years ago. I didn't witness any of this outpouring of joy, of festivities It was a real celebration and a real celebratory mood for the people there. Because lots of the artists were telling me it was an anniversary. And I'm thinking, okay, it's Eurovision 70 years, but they didn't mean 70 years. They meant that this is the 20th year now of Moldova being part of the Eurovision Song Contest. And that was being celebrated. And for lots of the people in the fan zone, of which, if I may dare say so, like, I think probably the average age of those people was about 20 in that fan zone. They've only ever known Eurovision with Moldova as a part of it. And this was celebrating everything that they've ever known and grown up with.
You described the atmosphere really well. And it continued on at the end of the show when Zdop took the stage. Same thing happened. People were dancing, making circles, and Trenulețul all song long. We were moving around the fan pit, holding each other's shoulders and dancing, celebrating Zdop on stage. There was incredible unity and friendship there in the back. Especially, I appreciate the friendship of Moldovan people because I still had my microphones for interview in my pocket. And when I was dancing, I lost the parts of each microphone, and someone found me in the pit and gave it back. So that was incredibly nice of them.
It was a fantastic all-time Eurovision memory, I have to say. And it's very timely as well. There's no point getting all doom and gloom, but the Eurovision Song Contest has had a difficult autumn and winter period, trying to work out issues of participation and so forth. And not everybody or not every broadcaster's heart is in the song contest right now. That Moldovan experience proved why people can and should love the Eurovision Song Contest, because those people there in Moldova were so proud of the opportunities their country was getting, were so proud of the show and the celebration of their culture that had been successful on an international stage, which doesn't really happen to Moldova otherwise. And that is what the song contest is all about. It is not about decisions made at the EBU in rooms that we don't get access to. It is about the joy from the songs and the music to the people and the countries and the cultures where it matters. And we own that feeling, not anybody else.
Wow. That's absolutely true, and it was very well put by you in this commentary. It didn't feel to me like a competition at all, like I should be following the scoreboards, doing math in my head. Like, it felt like we are not there to do this. We were there to celebrate and enjoy, like you said, the show, as a concert, as live music performances, well, live vocals for sure. I'm not really sure that Zdop played completely based on playback, because they were checking the sound and they were looking for floor monitors and they were trying out the drums, and but it was just a big music celebration, the celebration of Satoshi, who celebrates Moldova even more in his song. I think Moldova hasn't lived up to the song yet, but I think it should be really, really motivating for Moldovan people and the government and the society to just give it a listen and say, hey, yes, that's what Moldova could be. Let's work for that. I think this song will have really big impact on Moldovan's future.
When we were there for the national final, it was clear that there wasn't a contest. This was Satoshi who was going to go all the way. There was no doubt in the arena. Won the jury votes, both national and international. And the size of the televote score, remember now especially that it was a one vote per phone system. Satoshi has scored more votes than all the other acts combined. And in fact, the size of difference, Satoshi over 13,000 and second place in the 800s. There's a gap there of 15 times between first place and second place into the number of televotes. I have done all the research I possibly can, and I believe in the Eurovision Song Contest in the national final season, that is a record. I don't think we have ever had a more resounding winner than that one.
It feels like it can win Eurovision. There is definitely some possibility to that. And yes, I agree that you want, after experiencing this national final in Moldova, you want to go to each broadcaster's headquarters and show them, see, this is very good. You can do that too, and you should do that too. I don't
I
know.
need to be a little cautious about the speculation about Moldova winning the song contest. Yes, Moldova can win the Eurovision Song Contest with this. There are lots of buts along the way. One of them, if you're listening to this and you're scoffing, thinking we're ridiculous, is I will tell you that the sound quality that you have heard from the Moldovan broadcaster is one of the bits that I thought was a bit under par. It will sound a lot better in a Eurovision Song Contest environment. I am quite sure of that. Secondly, it will also be edited far better in a Eurovision environment. I've done the maths on this afterwards. I watched it back a couple of times on YouTube from the broadcaster afterwards, and something's missing. I thought it's missing lots of energy, and that's because they only used, I believe, 36 different camera cuts during the 3 minutes. For an up-tempo song, you're probably looking more 90, 100, 110, maybe more camera cuts. I suspect when you go to Vienna and you've got the EBU or the ORF team putting the production on for this, you're gonna see some more energy, and you're gonna see a Eurovision fans at the front, full of colour, full of joy for this number. So it's gonna look a lot better, despite it being a brilliant show in Moldova. There's definitely for this to improve. This can attract televotes. It can attract televotes from very obvious diaspora from Moldova. That is over 1 million Moldovans spread around Europe in different places. It's notable as well, there is clear signals both in terms of LED graphics and in the text that make reference as well to Romania. We haven't heard Romania's song yet. They are back in this year's contest. I'm expecting 12 points to go to Moldova regardless, but the Romanian diaspora, if they can be mobilized by an artist, Satoshi, who has toured around Europe numerous times, had 4 albums already, is going to be well known in certain Romanian communities as well as Moldovan communities. There is a way to pick up 2 diasporas with this. Plus, we've only had 4 songs for Eurovision. We haven't had anything up-tempo and party. I saw Satoshi reference Keria for Crazy and Party. I had some colleagues back in the real world here today see the song and get that reference. For me, it's a lot more Baby Lasagna. But both Keria and Baby Lasagna won the televote. It is not impossible for this to win the televote. I think it would need to be the only Crazy Party song that we have. But right now, it is the only Crazy Party song that we have. We have to wait and see. Satoshi is an excellent performer, and the addition from the original track of Aliona Moon really helps with some of the great vocals of hers building into the chorus to get some jury votes for this song, which are very much needed. It is not a jury song, but if you are looking for everything to fall in place in a Moldovan victory, what I will say about this song is a youthful anthem. This is an anthem for the next generation, not for my generation. And 2 of the jurors now in the Eurovision Song Contest in every country have to be under 25. The path for a Moldovan victory is very narrow. There's a lot of things to go in its favor. It probably needs the geopolitics of the world to be a bit calmer so it can maybe take 10s and 12s from televotes. But there is a path. And even if it doesn't win, having a narrative that is so pro-European from Moldova and embracing this cheeky Moldovan sense of the Eurovision Song Contest that we all know and love, and using that as a platform to show a shared culture with Europe has such a power for a country that would love to become an EU member state and is desiring that in a few years' time.
Yeah, that's incredible that a song can open so many doors for a country in the future. And you mentioned the Moldovan and Romanian diaspora. I'm pretty sure that Ukrainian diaspora and Ukrainian viewers in Ukraine will vote for Viva Moldova a lot because it translates to the Ukrainian fate as well. It translates so well. You have no idea how many Ukrainian friends texted me and said that they love the song. Also, you have seen in our Eurovision fans and audience have seen so many interactions between Satoshi and Jamala. Also, probably he is interested in different other songs from Ukrainian Vidbir. We also don't have a party song, which is good for Satoshi. So yeah, I think he will get lots and lots of love and support. And what I speculate will happen to his career, he will gain lots and lots of international fans. Not only those who speak Romanian, but other languages from other countries, and they will be traveling to Moldova to hear him live in concert. And this will bring lots and lots of good things to his career and the cities where the people will be traveling to.
I don't think they'll be traveling to Moldova to hear Satoshi, because I am quite certain already that the EBU will be asking Satoshi about the chance of performing at the Eurovision tour going around Europe in June and July. I believe they're looking for 10 acts from this year's contest to take on that tour. And they're looking for things that are going to fill arenas and show the love of the Eurovision Song Contest. You have got one artist right there who is perfect for an arena tour around Europe to bring a party for all the Eurovision fans going to the Eurovision tour in June and July.
Yeah, that makes the most sense for him, and that's what he definitely would want. But Satoshi, if you're watching, please perform in Moldova a couple of times so I can come, because Eurovision on tour is not stopping at any arena in the Central or Eastern Europe. All right, so thank you so much, Ben, for your time today. We'll wrap it up now, and if you want to say something else with the TES team and TES listeners, please do that.
I want to just say that it's been an absolute pleasure at the Moldovan National final. And I have on ESC Insight written a preview and a review to the show, including interviewing the head of Moldovan television as a part of that. Before going, I even took the train from Bucharest to Chisinau, and I've got a review of that train journey as well. So you want to do the long way round? It's a good 14-hour train journey, and I've done that train journey.
Thank you, Ben. And yes, please do check out Ben's article on ESC Insight. And thank you so much for watching. We are going to do a little lip. And here we are. The lip is over. I am here, joined by Gottem and Gabe. I think they need no introduction. And yeah, thank you so much for joining the TES podcast today. We are moving on with the rest part of our discussion of Moldova Selecția Națională. Hi, guys.
Hello, it's great to be here. Thanks so much for inviting us. And it was great to be with you in Moldova too.
Oh, yes, I can say the same. I am super grateful to have you here and the TES team and the TES audience. By the way, let's start. How did you get to Moldova? Tell us.
Well, Gottem, we boarded a train, didn't we? That is quite well known in a Eurovision context. Why don't you talk about it? How was the train from Bucharest to Chisinau?
So, first off, I arrived from Bulgaria to Romania. I think I landed at around 1 a.m. I went by bus, and then in the same day, me and Gabe met each other at the train station, and we boarded on the infamous Soviet sleeper train from Bucharest to Chisinau that inspired the 2022 Moldovan entry, Treneletu by Zdobsi Jdub. And it was a surreal experience because I have been obsessed with that train for ages now. Gabe can confirm. I have been talking about it constantly. So being able to finally board it and spend around 14 hours on it was an incredibly enjoyable and just a delightful experience altogether.
So Zdop did recommend a good experience. And did you feel the vibe of the Moldovan and Romanian culture that you get from Eurovision itself? Did it match? Was it more impressive? Did you begin to love Moldova even more?
I mean, absolutely. I think the thing is, right, and I can speak, I think, as someone from Western Europe, this is something that you two will be much more familiar with as Eastern Europeans, which is that there's an awful lot. I think there is quite a dismissive attitude that is applied to Eastern European countries from a Western European perspective. And I think, and because of that, in some ways, it's actually quite radicalizing because you go to these places, you go to Moldova, you actually see what it's like in these places, and you find yourself kind of, you go through a lot of years of the Eastern European experience of this kind of thing in a very short window of time. Because I was constantly discovering things, and then I'd say, got it to Gottem, oh, this thing is like, how is it like this? And then he'd be like, yeah, that's what it's like here. That's just Eastern Europe, baby. And it's like, yeah. So honestly, in some ways, it was a really, really eye-opening experience. It's a fascinating, beautiful country, and the enthusiasm as well was actually quite emotional. People got so into this show. I mean, you both will have seen that too, right? So it was just wonderful. What an amazing country! I think it impacted Gottem on an emotional level he wasn't quite expecting, didn't it?
It did, because I have been living in Western Europe for 2 years now, and I rarely come back home, and it isn't for a long time. I normally just have about enough time to visit my family and friends, and I haven't been able to properly experience what life was like back home growing up. And although Moldova and Bulgaria, where I was born and raised, are very two different countries, they have huge differences between each other, mainly linguistical. At the end of the day, we have joint history, our region, and it isn't that different, which was quite surprising to me. I think I mentioned it to Gabe or Jay, who is Gabe's assistant, who was also with us, and I turned around to them at some point, and I was like, "This is actually better than the Bulgarian railways back home." So it was very nostalgic to me for some reason. It felt like revisiting a place I haven't properly experienced in a long time, and I miss it very dearly now that I'm not there anymore.
Straight to the arena, from Trenoletsul straight to the arena, right? You started your coverage 2 days before the national final. And what was the first thing you saw and noticed when you entered the arena?
Well, what was really beautiful when we arrived was that as we came in, Satoshi was rehearsing, right? Um, and I remember we got in and saw the stage, and we were like, wow. This was a stage that was good enough in terms of the technical specifications of it to host almost any national selection. It was so professional, such a level up, but you could very much tell as well that they were learning on the job, right? So there were things that uh, you know, that they were making do with what they had rather than having a rail camera like they have at big national finals. They had a guy with a camera stood on a trolley and someone else pushing him up and down because the Moldovan broadcaster cannot afford a rail camera. Quite understandably, I'm fairly sure one does not exist in the country that would be suitable for such things. But it was amazing. You get there and you're like, they're really doing this. And also, I really hope this comes together, which it did. So that's how I felt.
Yes, I also noticed and cannot help but repeating that we got real postcards before each contestant took the stage. It was like a real Eurovision. When you watch it, you see the postcard first, and then the artist is getting ready to take the stage, and then the lights come on, the sounds of the stage comes on as well, and we see the 3-minute performance. That what made me feel like I was at real Eurovision event.
How did you feel, Gottem?
So I went to the arena for the first time the day after I arrived because that 14-hour long journey messed with my head a little bit. So I had to take some rest the day we arrived. But the next day, obviously, it was new to me. I think I was the last person out of our group to actually enter the arena. And although the arena is relatively small, it has seating for only about 5,000 people, I think. I when I entered, obviously the first thing I saw was the stage, and just the just seeing that stark contrast between what the Moldovan broadcaster managed to produce this year compared to what we had 2 years ago, which was just a studio accompanied by those awful live auditions, which uh, the sounding is not great, the production is not great. It's fun to us and it's very endearing, but seeing such a big elevation in the span of 2 years, considering all of the controversy that happened last year with Moldova's withdrawal, was shocking to me because between each other, they mentioned to me that the arena and the stage and there is just an elevation in production. I didn't expect it to be that big on that big of a scale. So it was surprising, and I was very happy to see that such a small country is managing to produce something so worthy in terms of national finals.
I think there is a reason for that. There should be. They were so invested in the professional production and the quality of the live stream. I'm sure probably that's actually because of their investment not only in the musical competition but in general in the European Union life. And I think it's all well falls together well what we saw there. Let's maybe move on and talk about the music actually, because we are the podcast with a slice of life about Eurovision music as well. Have you seen all the rehearsals, all the performances?
Of course.
Yeah.
God, I think you saw a full rehearsal as well, didn't you? As well as the live show.
Yes, I think I only missed about three performances in terms of seeing the rehearsals, but obviously we were all there together for the live show. And I enjoyed most of them, which is quite surprising for someone that's hateful as I am.
What is worth noticing that the songs in the Romanian language sounded so good and so familiar that we were all singing along by the end of Bacha's song and in Forias, that it felt like we have been here for a while, that we have watched them and we love them. It felt great. It felt like this language has been in Eurovision for a while, and like we're no strangers. Yes, it's Romanian songs. Romanian language songs are always great. It felt like that to me, and now I want to advertise Bacho and Euphoria to everyone I know who is a Eurovision fan because they sounded great. They sounded powerful. They were interesting to watch, especially the teddy bear dance performance to Tata. I have never seen anything like that in Eurovision. Has something similar ever happened?
I don't think. I mean that looked a little unfortunate on television, from what I understand. I think it was quite unique. Let's put it like that. I certainly did not expect that kind of. I didn't know how I thought that would be staged, but it was very kitsch, very dramatic. I get what he was trying to do. I think it maybe that specific bit, while memorable, was maybe not memorable in the way he wanted it to be. So I'm saying it diplomatically. Gottem, you say it instead.
To be fair, I it was shocking, which is great for capturing the attention of the audience, which isn't particularly difficult to do when there are only 15 songs in the national final. Although it captured the viewers' attention, that we can say for sure. I think by the end of it, it kind of made the performance feel like a gimmick, and I would have loved to see the focal point and the emphasis of the whole performance being on Bachumor and the song. It felt like he was relying on that teddy bear, and I don't think it was particularly necessary. Obviously, the song is about his father, his childhood. He could have demonstrated that aspect of the song in different ways. I don't think he needed to rely on that teddy bear, and that was the whole focus of the performance. It was just a teddy bear for 3 minutes, and it did make it feel like a novelty act. Let's put it that way. By the end of it,
There was elements of that, yeah.
Thank you. There was another great song in the Romanian language, the Infores Tipare. Did you like that more? Because they were definitely serving a lot of energy, a lot of interaction with the crowd, and that was just a powerful rock and roll sound.
So that, in my opinion, was a song that was the most political in the entire selection. If you read the lyrics, it's extremely political. It's, it's one stop. It's literally, it's one, it comes very close to outwardly going like, hey, Vladimir, stick this one up your pipe and smoke it. Like the entire thing is very clearly about, sort of the sort of new sort of Moldovan generation raging against the old authoritarian and imperial powers which have dominated in that part of the world for a long time. And so I think you have to view it through that lens. And in my opinion, that really enhances it because we have this long history of punk rock and angry protest music that, in my opinion, despite the quote unquote apolitical nature of the contest, which is more funny with every passing day, has a place at this stage because it's always been part of music. And so it really enriches the competition. It says something about the mentality of young Moldovans that I think really needed to be heard and needed a place on that stage. And it's a great song.
Absolutely. The song also has another layer to it of the personal and philosophical thoughts about the changes and breaking those patterns for your life, not only for your countries. We had another political song, the patriotic one. Which one? It was a Viva Moldova, the winner. And what is absolutely necessary to point out is how the whole arena came together to celebrate Satoshi and celebrate that particular song.
Gottem, did that melt your icy heart?
it did. It did. It was actually very reminiscent of what happened in 2022 in Turin when the whole arena, apparently, I wasn't there, but several people have told me this. The entire arena in 2022 came together when Zdopsis Dup were on stage singing Treneletu, and immediately reminded me of that. Also, the song is great on its own, but I think it just perfectly embodies the spirit of the national final. Just the resilience of the broadcaster managing to pull off such an incredible national final on such a tight budget. And having to deal with, and Moldova as a whole, having to deal with interference constantly, threats to their existence, and still proudly celebrating their unique identity and spirit. I love the song. I don't like upbeat music all that much, but I really like Viva Moldova. It's incredibly catchy, and just seeing so many younger people proudly waving around Moldova's flags and going mental over the performance was just incredibly endearing, in my opinion.
It did. And the audience was so hyped and involved into everything that we even heard everyone chanting Moldova, Moldova, not only for Satoshi, but for Moldova as well. Yeah. Also, except for production, the organizers invited quite a lot of people to the international jury, and the international jury was present at the arena, watched the performance, performed if they were the guest performance. Like, let's talk about how international jury and national jury perceived the song. As I recall, I think all of them were unanimous in their decisions on which song should win. I think we got the most of the jury members, international jury, given 12 points to Satoshi.
Yes, I think it was pretty much every single one. The international jury, there was a couple who didn't. But to give you context, out of the 15 members of the national jury, 14 of them gave 12 points to Satoshi. One gave him 8. All the others gave him 12. So he had almost, he had more than 50 points more than every single other one. For the international ones, what really struck me was Jamala and Paula Sailing, the Ukrainian and the Romanian, gave this 12 points. I think it was partly musical. In my opinion, it was the best song in the selection anyway. But also, I think Moldova's identity on one hand is inextricably linked to Romania's. On the other hand, I think Jamala as a Ukrainian is going to, as both of you will understand, is going to connect to this on a level that is a lot more universal, because the message isn't really about just Moldova, although obviously he talks about it in that context. The struggle for Europe is a theme that is played out all across Eastern Europe. The struggle for freedom, the struggle for democracy, and I think actually at the contest, this will do very well with Ukrainians who will identify with the message on a broader level, because it's totally analogous to the same struggle in a much more violent way that Ukraine is currently experiencing. And so it was no surprise to me at all that Jamala gave it 12 too. I think it resonates so well with people in that position.
Yeah, agree. And I am expecting 12 points from the Ukrainian audience in the Eurovision finals for Satoshi. Ukrainian audience, you have one job. Also, you talked to Jamala and she probably confirmed it to you that she is favoring the Viva Moldova song before she even announced her poems. Was it?
She didn't say it. She didn't say it, but she made a very important point about Western European countries being able to not take advantage of this opportunity at Eurovision, being able to live without the contest, right? But for Eastern European countries, that's not the case. And she said this herself. She was talking about both Moldova and Ukraine. This is a window that most countries in Eastern Europe rarely get, and therefore you have to take it. They can't afford to not be there. And I think it hurt Moldova a lot that they weren't there last year. So I think she was the perfect person to be at this election. Like, excellent choice to have her in the room.
Gottem, did you watch the results on the screen as they announced the audience poll? Was it the same as, did the audience agree with jury? Or I think, yeah, it definitely did. But have you seen the same unity in the audience votes? How did it happen? What do you recall from the audience points announcement?
To be fair, I don't speak Romanian, so I was a little bit confused when the points were getting announced, especially for the televote bid. I don't think we've ever seen such a precedent in Eurovision national final history, where the audience of the country was that unified and united in deciding their representative. It was just an incredible lead in terms of Satoshi winning the televote. There was just no room for any competition when it comes to the televote, the Moldovan televote. Before the show started, I was a little bit afraid about one of the participants that is endorsed by an occupation government and somehow hijacking the national final to just ruin the image of the country. That did not happen, thankfully. I think the producers of the show did a great job in managing to preserve the televote from interference. So yeah, but I mean, we were all there in the crowd. Everyone was ecstatic over the victory. I think everyone knew and anticipated Satoshi absolutely landsliding the televote.
To add a little fact to your comment for our viewers and listeners, the second place audience vote, which was taken by Catalina, I think, right? She got a little bit less than 900 votes, and Satoshi won over her with 13,000 and a little more votes. So the gap is massive. The support is massive. Also, the green room, we were able to, and also the rest of the audience, we were able to see the green room and lots of celebrations there. But the most part, the green room was actually the other part of the dance floor, because as we saw the special guests invited to perform, the green room was going mental as well. Yeah, and the selection is over. The next step is Eurovision. Satoshi is gonna perform at some pre-parties, I assume. He's gonna go to the semi-final. I'm a little bit scared that they may ask him to revamp a little song to lower the degree of patriotism. I'm a little bit scared for that. But I am not sure it's going to happen, because with Jamala's song, for example, it was okay. But I'm just a little bit afraid that there will be some modifications to the song from the outside. But I really, really hope there won't be.
Same. I think all of the message of this is in the subtext. It's not written in a way that I think would be cause for concern. And also, we know specifically with pro-European sentiment, let's not forget, EU flags weren't allowed at Eurovision 2024. And then very suddenly, once a load of members of European Parliament wrote to the EBU, very suddenly they were backpedaling and apologizing and sending letters back. So I think pro-European sentiment is not going to be an issue at this competition. That's the one thing that they are not going to touch. That's my prediction. It'll be fine.
Thank you so much for reassuring me. And maybe anything else you would like to add that you noticed, especially that positively surprised you, that will advertise the Moldovans national final to the audience outside of Moldova? And I would really like to do so and invite everyone to come to Moldova's national selection next year.
I mean, it's a beautiful country, a kind, friendly, very honest, very humble country of people who don't spend their time they don't have time to be angry about the fact there aren't many resources. They have a mentality of what can we do with what we have. And it produces great shows like this because it shows what ambition and passion can do. And the people involved with this care about this project. And I imagine, Gottem, you will have seen at least some of the same, right?
Absolutely. It's just so refreshing to see a country where people are so conscious about their reality and trying to not succumb to the negativity that the future may hold for them. Is just incredibly motivating. And I see Moldova as a country and this national final as well as an incredibly big success story. That was my main takeaway from my trip, seeing how a country that small, that isolated in terms of history, manages to constantly fight and protect their identity and trying to preserve and continue building on their future, or at least their hopes for the future, is just incredible. And going there and seeing what the people are like. And again, Moldova is the least visited country in Europe, one of the least visited places in the world. It's so incredibly underrated, and people should just go next year. It's incredible. It's one of my favorite trips I've ever taken in my whole life. And I do think for other people it will be life-changing as well, in my opinion. And if the scale of the national final keeps growing as we have seen this year, I can only imagine what it will look like next year and the years after that.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And yes, again, massive talent, what we saw, except for the production, the arena, the jury, the unity, the massive talent of the performances on stage. The great voices, the great interpretations of their songs, everything was fun to watch. And here is the ending point of the podcast. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much for traveling back in time with us to the Selection Națională 2026. And we will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.